I'm legit spending hours grinding, mainly to ensure they grow up properly when they hit mega level. And then as soon as I hit mega, bro, I'm scrambling. Every second counts. I need to make sure that I can do as many of these missions as possible before my boys die, bro. It's part of the fun, right? It is. But the sheer stress that comes when that fateful day is creeping up, bro.
Oh, shit. Here we go again. Now, I don't necessarily mean too long. But don't you think Digimon games have a lot of fluff that make them longer than they need to be? I'm getting old, and my craving for long, fleshed out experiences is diminishing, along with my attention span. You need to be a game that I have been waiting for. Excited for, you know? I'm talking years of anticipation. Maybe like 3, with some delays, broken promises. Just all out pain to hold me for 60 to 70 hours. Bro, we are never gonna get Digimon Survive. Oh my god. I tailored this video to Digimon for a multitude of reasons, but you know, it starts to get me thinking about Pokemon as well. Think about it. If we were talking about Pokemon, would this video be titled, "Are they too short?" Because I think that's a valid question. Are they really?
I obviously haven't played every single Digimon game in the world, so in order to get a nice idea of the length of Digimon games, I'm tapping into the internet. So when it comes to like the home console Digimon games, I'm finding that we're probably not going lower than like 30-35 hours. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. We got Cyber Sleuth at 50.5, Hacker's Memory at 43.5, World 1 35.5, World 3 42, Next Order 47.5, World 2 65, and then 4 being the shortest, which is very interesting, 21.5. Wow. I don't know, when I first was looking at this site, it felt more fabricated than I thought, but nah, this seems pretty accurate if you ask me. The only one that I'm questioning, Digimon World 1, 35.5. I know that you might spend 20 hours just trying to figure out what's going on in Digimon World 1, so that's interesting to see. I don't know if I believe it, but we'll go with that. For Pokemon, I noticed that the older games are somewhat similar, you know, play times as Digimon games, but the newer games continuously go down in the playtime. But the biggest thing that I noticed from Pokemon versus Digimon is consistency. Thinking back to the various DS Pokemon games I played, I could probably back that up, right? They all felt pretty consistent in terms of length. Think about it though, there is a consistent structure and goal. Overall though, the differing styles of Digimon games just naturally makes this a tricky topic. When it comes to the World Series, bro, the less you know, the longer it's gonna take. It's basically like Uncapped. Just look at me, bro. My base Next Order playthrough took me 3 retries and about 120-ish hours before I could actually beat it. So whenever I'm looking at this website and I see 47.5 hours, that person's gotta be on crack. Nah, I'm just kidding. But that's the whole idea, bro. If you understand the game, you can blaze through it. But that's the hard part. Understanding. I literally know some people who got through Next Order. I don't know if I believe them because that shit is insane, but they got through Next Order with only 2 generations of Digimon. That doesn't even sound fun to me. Bro, you've only made 4 Digimon. Like I get that it's not about monster catching, but still, that's just ridiculous. In conjunction with game length, game complexity feels a bit synonymous to this topic, even though in a way it shouldn't, in my opinion. A Pokemon game would theoretically be a longer game if grinding was actually needed. Honestly, add just a tad bit of grinding and I don't think anybody would be mad. Whereas, on the other hand, one aspect that makes Digimon games stand apart is their difficulty. But the question needs to be asked: are Digimon games difficult? Or is the difficulty more about confusion, which results in increased game length? Or does the difficulty simply mean bloated health bars, which means unnecessary grinding in order to keep up, again adding increased game length? If either of those questions are yes, then man, I don't know, but
Houston, we have a problem.
Now, let's fix what you're currently thinking in your head.
I am not saying Digimon games should be easier. Were you thinking that? Let's just act like you were.
Keep them how they are for the most part. But like we've talked about in a previous video, let's firstly explain things. After that, let's fine-tune what it means for Digimon games to be difficult or long. Grinding in JRPGs is common, but excessive grinding is a thing of the past, is it not? Cyber Sleuth's hard mode is quite literally the worst feature in existence. Let me make one thing clear, boys. Grinding fluff is not true game length. Stop that shit. The first game that comes in my head around this topic, other than Digimon, is Persona. The deep, story-driven JRPGs tend to be long in length, and many times will need you to do some grinding. Persona games are always lengthy, that's what they're known for, but they have a proper difficulty structure where it doesn't feel forced, at least to me, and it gradually gets harder. If you start getting clapped, there is a key reason for that. Digimon's story, like the Persona series, has deep and fleshed out stories, but if I got selfish, I sort of want these games to only be like 10 to 20 hours longer than a good Pokemon game. And this sort of ties into our PvP topic, which y'all know I love. Monster catching games should literally always have a PvP mode of some sort. There is absolutely no reason for them not to. Think about it. I've spent all this time gathering the top tier brass for Team Jam. If taking my boys to the big leagues and bullying these kids online is not an option, I will be disappointed. Severely. Even for you non-competitive people. I think y'all like collecting everyone, right? You know what I'm saying? Seeing all the evolutions, filling up the Pokédex.
We don't do that here, bro. We don't do that.
Oh yeah, you right. That's my fault.
Alright, maybe that's not what you care for, but I just think a 40 to 50 hour game is the sweet spot. By having a more comfortable game length, you'll still have an urge to play after completion. You can try online, make some dream teams, or on the other hand, the way you see a huge influx of Pokemon playthroughs on the internet. In my head, guys, and I guess this is very personal, but it's that comfortable game length that makes Pokemon playthroughs so prevalent and enticing, even if you aren't making content out of it. They're just very replay encouraging games in my head. Couple that with a more straightforward or streamlined gameplay experience, and the games are just simply enjoyable and nostalgic to go back to with minimal stress. Ultimately, when the game is too long, by the end you're ready to move on.
I can literally hear y'all right now, bro. This time I know some of y'all are out there. Y'all are demons. I see you already. You crazy people talking about I'm on my 50th Persona 5 Royal playthrough, bro. No. I'm not talking about you, bro.
Part of the hurdle, with getting this down properly for Digimon games is the way that every single one is a different style. But to be honest, it's not all that complicated for both. So let's break it down. I'm actually working on a bigger video around Digimon's story, so to speak, so I'll be careful not to overlap thoughts. But fixing the length of Digimon's story style of games is a simple task, man. It's not that complicated. Just do what they did in Hacker's Memory. All action, no fluff. Look, unless these filler missions are doing something cool for me, I don't know, giving me a new skill or some type of power up, I don't know, bro, but whatever. If it's not doing that, keep that shit. I'm not gonna lie though, right? There are definitely some funny filler missions in Cyber Sleuth, and honestly, bro, it felt like the writing was reaching its peak in these moments. But man, I'm 35 hours in, and these aren't advancing the story at all or rewarding me properly. So at this point, I'm just a little bit annoyed. I read a poll a couple weeks back trying to gauge how long it took people to get through Cyber Sleuth base game. And it was what I was expecting, although people were thinking I was talking about 100%ing, not just getting through the game base. Nonetheless, with story games, following a set path, controlling the game is still gonna be a cakewalk, right? If you give me a solid 40 hours of gameplay, not including the time it takes to get to places or the random encounters, etc. No, I'm talking 40 hours of pure gameplay or story, right? I think most of us are gonna be happy with that. Now, honestly, I think this question might be a little controversial, but yeah, I'm trying to stir some stuff up. What is your preferred game length? 30 to 40 hours? Are you a madman and love indulging in 80 to 100 hour experiences? Go in the comments right now and let me know. Again, the structure of Persona resembles the story series the most. And it's interesting how I didn't really need a grind at all in Persona 5, right? As long as I was fighting my battles, I was fine. Thinking back to my Cyber Sleuth experience, a big part of it was that grinding loop that I needed to do in order to get specific evolutions. Contrary to Pokemon, right, Digimon evolutions are extremely flexible, which is good and bad. At the time, I'm talking 2016, I was fascinated with this Digivolution structure. As a first timer, it was intriguing, but I can't lie. That structure is the biggest reason I've hesitated so much to return to the game. It's not that it's complicated, but at the same time it is. Quite frankly, ABI and Cam can f right off, bro. Like I said, they're not all that bad, but there's like one too many requirements needed to level up and evolve. Thinking about Pokemon, man, EVs, IVs are the Pokemon's versions of ABI and Cam. To an extent, but those don't hinder your evolution progress. Really, there's nothing that hinders it. They're strictly competitive or perfectionist aspects, which is not the case for ABI and Cam. You might have connected the dots by this point. The Digimon story style of games is all about the monster catching aspect, and that grind to make your preferred Digimon definitely adds to the game length here, especially if you have a set team in mind where you'll do whatever it takes to evolve them. So as a summary, let's remove the unnecessary fluff. Tell your story with less filler missions, and if possible, let's calm down Digivolution requirements. It's a tad bit annoying. All right, on to the freaking confusing one, Digimon World. The Digimon World style is interesting in that there isn't even much story, right? It's all about the exploration. Play your cards right, and you can legit beat the game in 20 to 30 hours. But for me, I didn't know what I was doing, and the time-sensitive nature of the World Series is no joke, right? So after spending like 10 to 20 hours doing nothing of substance, I was like, bro, I gotta restart. And so if you see my Have You Played Next Order video comments, you'll see that I was not alone. Since there is no story, like I said, this is just the weirdest one to kind of have this conversation around. But at least in Next Order, the biggest issue is the amount of time it takes to train up a Digimon. Early game, it makes sense to take some time to train up to a Mega, but ultimately, by the middle section of the game, there should be a proper way to expedite this process. I know, right? There's various things you unlock that help streamline and fine-tune evolution. And honestly, it's probably one of the greatest features of the World Series, how the game evolves along with you. But at least in Next Order, it's just not enough. And to be honest, that's the only area that's important when we talk about length in Digimon World. But it's not that simple. If you shorten the time it takes to make Digimon by the middle, you're probably cutting out 20 to 30% of the game's actual length at this point. But I am talking about big butts. This opens up to how I perceive the World Series should be structured. End Game City. A proper length allows for a proper endgame. When you think of looter shooters like Destiny, endgame is where the real fun starts. Something similar could be implemented here, where once endgame opens up, you have a lot more options in terms of evolving your Digimon, making it easier, and from here then, you can also introduce a plethora of content to do with your new Digimon. New missions, challenges, things like that. And the joy with World games is you can really play at your own pace. Since the story isn't too prevalent, it honestly brings out the completionist in you. For me, bro, I have never once ever cared for a second to 100% the game. Until Next Order. Since I'm only training 2 Digimon at a time, there's so many evolutions I wanted to get and see, but I couldn't until towards the end. So it's like, yeah, I beat the main story, but personal preference has kept me playing. Add more content, and now you're gonna be able to entertain me past the base story. It's perfect. Piggybacking off of that, Next Order actually added a lot of DLC Digimon that needed special missions to be done in order to access these new Digievolution lines. Again, promoting you to play the game even more, even if you finished it. So honestly, right, Next Order is right there. It does almost all of this. The grinding up to Mega is the only area where I feel like it just needs work severely. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, and every time I'm streaming, bro, I keep asking chat, what am I doing wrong? And nobody wants to answer me. So at this point, I think I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm legit spending hours grinding, mainly to ensure they grow up properly when they hit Mega level. And then as soon as I hit Mega, bro, I'm scrambling. Every second counts. I need to make sure that I can do as many of these missions as possible before my boys die, bro. It's part of the fun, right? It is. But the sheer stress that comes when that faithful day is creeping up, bro.
Oh shit, here we go again.
So with that being said, man, that's all I had for this video. Let me know what you guys think about my thoughts and my points. This is definitely a conversational kind of topic. I really want to hear what you guys think, because I know for a fact there are some people out there that had no problems with any of these games that I'm talking about, their length and things like that. So let me know, give me your opinions in the comments below. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.